Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me speak for the love of God.
Welcome to a special episode of Good Movie Monday, the second of our summer edition episodes, Ben. It's great to be with everybody. It's good to have you with us. Not your typical episode, which is a good thing because our regular show is on. It's resting for the summer, right, Ben? Are you rested?
Yes.
Excellent.
I've just woken up from a nap.
Excellent. We have something very special for everybody today. But first, my name's Glenn Cochran, and everyone's favourite wingman is here, Captain Chaos himself, Ben Hellwig.
Is that my I forgot my nickname.
That was a really good cue for you to go dun dun dun. No, okay.
No. If you've got a joke, I'll step on it.
Excellent. Well, for your first-time listeners, you've picked a great episode to start with. This one is a beauty. We are joined here by the man with the majestic mullet, the purveyor of chalky milk, and the king of the slip and slide himself, Aaron Gocs. Gocsy.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Bloody great to have you here.
That was a lovely intro, thanks.
Oh, we do our best.
Three good things to be known for. Hair, chalk milk, and slip and slide.
Yes.
What more do you need in life, you know?
Oh, well, exactly right. And we are all chalky milking right now. Oh,
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how I go hosting the show on chalky milk. I've never done it before.
No, and I'm incredibly lactose intolerant, so this is going to be fun for nobody.
Well, you do have the lactose-free one.
It is lactose free, but as I was telling you off air, I did try it, and not as lactose free as as one would like.
Did you make it home in time?
I did, made it just in time, and I think I would have been in the toilet for about 3 hours. I reckon, like both legs well and truly gone to sleep, pins and needles. I could have performed ingrown toenail surgery on my toes because they were that dead from me sitting on that toilet for so long.
That's an interesting way to start the show. Well, once again, welcome, Gocsy. This is going to be a Gocsy'S choice kind of episode. We're going to, in other words, just talk about some of your favourite movies.
That sounds like a treat. I'm always trying to get people to watch things, and so yeah, it's good to.
Excellent. Well, that's what we do. We talk movies. We're not very good at talking about comedy, so we may as well. We're in our wheelhouse now, mate. You're in our world.
Yeah.
But before we do that, everyone should know that our website is goodmoviemonday.com. Go and check it out. Follow all the links to our social media pages. Lots of fun stuff. We're going to be back in March for a proper full season.
And don't forget to drop us a line on social media if you do find my hidden KFC review page. It's an Easter egg on the site. I've been to every KFC in Victoria. Every single one of them. There's a review of all of them. You'll find out which is the best KFC to go to.
Well, that's right. Until we come back as well, there's plenty of great episodes to go and backtrack through. Do you remember any of our guests from the year, Ben?
No. No, I don't.
You might remember Danny and Michael Philippou.
No, who are
from
they?
the Talk to Me directors.
Oh, I like that movie.
Lucky McKee, Mayim Bialik, Lorenzo Di Bonaventura.
I think in my defense, I was only involved in the Lucky McKee interview of those ones that you mentioned. I wasn't on any of the
No,
others.
you're in way more than that.
Can I just say about the KFC? Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
I think you should go back a second time, just in case you got the... Because they say that about reviewing food. You know, what if you got the chef on a bit of an off day? And
That is true.
yeah,
Yes.
so you're going to have to do it all a second time.
Or do it again.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a hidden feature on our website, a bit like their hidden menu on the app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thing of beauty, that.
Yeah, you got to pull down.
Yeah.
Secret society.
That's right. If you know, you know, and if you
It's like
don't, tough.
It's like an Addams Family sort of the bookcase revealing another room sort of thing.
Ooh,
That's
I
right.
could do with a KC room.
Do you remember there was that nightclub in? It's one of the end of the line stations, not Cranbourne Beckenham, the other one.
I have no
That's
bloody
near
idea.
Ferntree Gully and
Belgrave?
Belgrave.
Oh, yeah.
In Belgrave, there was a nightclub there,
Ruby's Lounge.
Ruby's,
Yeah.
and you go downstairs and it's got the secret bookcase into the private room,
Wow.
which is amazing. And I always that was my go-to zombie apocalypse hiding space.
Move over Puffing Billy. There's a new
There's a new reason.
pride
to
of
go.
the Belgrave era.
Yeah.
Right. But that impressive guest list I was sort of talking about is because now we're adding Gocsy to the list. So it's like, it's the Mount Olympus of guests as far as I'm concerned. But I want to just run through a few things here, Gocsy, things that describe you. You're a stand-up comedian, an internet sensation that make some brilliant web videos. You're an actor of TV and film. You're an influencer that people don't know they need, embedded in the music scene, tapped into the youth culture. You've performed on Triple J's Like a version. What am I missing, mate?
Oh, that'll do.
Footy player?
It's funny the word influencer has a bit of a stigma around it, but I'm not one of those like girls who are, well, I shouldn't make it a gender thing, but let's just be honest, it's mainly girls. But asking for free meals and
That's the thing. I wonder. Like, I just follow a lot of girl influencers because most of the time they're the ones in bikinis. But I'm sure that
well, I
there
can
are
wear a
bunch of-
bikini if you want, you know.
Well, I do already follow you, so that would, that's just going to make it even better.
Yeah.
But I wonder, like, are there male? There must be male
Yeah, there
influencers
are.
who are doing
Yeah.
bikini photo shoots and like mankinis, the Borat one pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I guess the male influencers, a lot of like sort of the fitness guys and like real estate agents, and real alpha, like
Yeah.
winning at life sort of thing. I don't call it winning at life, but so that's what they call it.
I'd love to know what that feels like, though, winning in life.
I assume that it means that if you're at home on a Saturday afternoon watching TV in your underpants,
Yeah.
that's when you're winning at life.
Well, I'd like to be testing slip and slides.
Yeah.
No, I've seen what happens to a man that tests slip and slides, mate.
Yeah.
Does any slip and slide companies listening?
Ever been over a slip and slide with a stone underneath?
I have.
Yeah.
It's not fun. There's various like hazards like that. Like
I went to, my mate had a slip and slide back in the day, and half of it was on the grass and half was on the concrete. It was the second half on the concrete too.
well, my house, it's my parents' house that I grew up in. That's a common theme for kids. But like the hill in front was like so close to like the actual house. So there's a lot of like having to put on the brakes quickly. And,
It ends at the fence.
And then I didn't realize, like, as I started getting older, getting a bit heavier, getting more pace, I started finding myself like going right into the house.
Okay, here's a question for you. So we're referring to a video you've made, The King of the Slip and Slide. I want to know, like, when you shot that video, was that painful?
It was.
There was a lot of
But
slipping
no
and
pain,
sliding.
no gain, no. That's what I always tell myself when anything like the shooting hurts or has some issue. It's just like when people enjoy it, it's gonna pay off.
It'll pay off, yeah.
That's right.
Like
You won't remember the pain.
Yeah, Ocean Girl. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
That was at the beach in winter.
Yeah.
Melbourne, sort of down around 3, 4, 5 degrees. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And so that was one part of it, was the coldness. Another part was after finished, and then in the like weeks leading up after, there was talk on the news about like a flesh-eating bacteria at that beach. I wasn't affected, but it was like, was that where we were filming? They were talking about like some teenage boy got it on his leg and it's like eating his flesh and like, yeah.
There's a sequel.
That's why I never want to go to South America, where you hear about those. You go into the Amazon or whatever, and they've got those like the thing that swims
Up your pee hole?
up your pee hole, and
Yeah.
you're like, that's the.
Yeah.
I used to think an ingrown toenail, which is the second time I've brought up ingrown toenails on
Yeah.
the show so far, was the worst thing that could happen, because I could never conceive of somebody going near my toes with a knife.
Yeah.
But then I heard about the flesh-eating penis bug, and I'm like, well, that's the ultimate.
Yeah, I feel like, South America, Central America seem like beautiful places, but sounds like there's a lot of animals that want to go inside you.
Inside you, yeah. Like, say what you will about the deadly animals in Australia.
They don't want to go inside you.
Yeah, they just want to kill you.
Yeah.
Like a nice and simple, quick, maybe painful death. But they're not laying eggs under your skin or anything.
They're like sort of like a red bat. They're just like, cop that. Just like give you a quick sting.
Yeah, in true Aussie style, it's a quick fuck you, and then they're off.
Yeah.
Unless they're emus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
How do you like that for a little segue?
Most dangerous predator on the Australian outback.
That's right. So you were in the Emu War, a film that Ben and I recently saw, and we
Nice segue.
yeah, we absolutely loved it.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic film.
Very, very proud to be in that.
I would be too. When I was talking to the filmmakers, I just couldn't just stop gushing over them. Everything about it is so wrong, it's right.
Yeah, well, obviously, like, it's great just to be in a movie flat out. There's not many movies get made, but on top of that, for me, is like being a fan of 90s action, and there's action in it. You don't see many action comedies because they're not easy to make. So, yeah, all those pieces added up. Working and performing with friends from the comedy industry, and yeah, and also just getting revenge on emus. You know?
Well, I mean, the takeaway for me, I learned how to get warm in a tent,
Yeah.
and I learned how to look.
Spoiler alert.
And I learned how to look for bush tucker.
Yeah, that's
Good stuff.
Well, I got tips from the horniest man in Australia, which is
yeah.
important.
Don't give away too much.
We're going to pick your brain about some of your favourite movies in a minute, but a question I want to ask you about movies is, what was little Gocsy watching at home in front of the telly videos?
Yes, like I said, 90s kids, so Terminator 2 was on every couple of months on Channel 10, so probably watched that about 50 times. Home Alone, big one. All the 90s staples, but yeah, being a huge comedy fan, I loved my Jim Carrey, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, all that. And also I really got into like the SNL ones. Like,
Yes, Night of the Roxbury and
yeah,
Ladies
yeah.
Man.
I was a huge Chris Farley fan.
I think Beverly Hills Ninja is one of the most underrated comedies
Yeah.
of all time.
I remember going to school after watching Black Sheep
Yep.
and doing the big man in a little jacket
Yeah.
to other
That's-
kids.
that was
smaller
Tommy Boy,
kids.
yeah.
Tommy Boy, yeah. That's right, yeah, not Black Sheep, Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
No, it's funny about those two because I saw Black Sheep first, and like Tommy Boy's a lot better movie, but I was in denial. I was like trying to be the contrarian, like, no, Black Sheep's better for a long time.
Yeah.
And I eventually came around like Tommy Boy's a lot better.
Well, Black Sheep has his big roll down the hill.
yeah.
That's an amazing
They
thing.
they really leaned in on the physical comedy.
Yeah.
Did. Awesome. Well, so you're raised on the right movies then.
Yeah. So I'd like to have some sort of interesting view, but very just like 90s kid. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I got two random questions for you because I know that you've lived in all parts of the country. Potato cake or potato scallop?
Oh, you're gonna get me in trouble here. Whatever's available. No. That's my answer for the whole, like, people get worked up about what to call a Parmigiana.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, let's all just eat it and get along. but no, so I don't want any drama when it comes to Parmigiana. That's a nice little rhyme. But I'm scallop. I'm full team scallop because cake is sweet. That's my belief. Right?
Yeah, right.
At least it's a
Yeah.
mud cake.
Yeah. Have you actually heard there's a third nominee has entered? Because now people say, is it scallop, cake, or fritter?
Yeah.
I don't know where it calls it that, but
No, I
but
think
that-
it was. Is it Perth? I think at WA call it fritter.
Is it in Perth, is it?
Maybe.
Probably.
I've been
They're
Perth
pretty
for a while,
weird over
it's
there.
not fucking potato cake.
WA has spearmint milk. That's a WA only thing,
Yeah,
which
right.
Yeah.
I don't really get into.
No,
No.
I'm
I'd
not a
give
big
it
mint.
shot.
I'm not a big mint guy because
Okay.
makes me think of toothpaste.
Well, we just recently scored some chocolate toothpaste. I've tried it. Have you?
That sounds good.
I did try
It's
it.
delicious.
It only tastes like chocolate right at the beginning. And then I doubt its toothpaste qualities. I was like, am I getting a good clean here?
Yeah, but that's the same with like any of these sort of special edition beers or any, because it's like
Yeah.
the initial, you taste it initially and then it's just
Like Blue Heaven Big M. You're like, what is the, like, I like this. I like that it's blue, but I don't know what the taste is. I don't
Blueberry.
actually.
Blueberry.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never been able to single it out and go blueberry.
So speaking of Big M's, like, what are your thoughts on the little hole for the straw in the front?
yeah. I try to use that whenever I can. But
They are handy when you got a metal straw.
yeah,
But I have, like, as a kid, I always had trouble getting the fucking thing open, like the spout. It would never
Wrong
do it.
side or just
Yeah, wrong side, just would never do it. But then they introduced the whole thing, and then I reckon it's a good 50-50. You peel it open and you don't get enough of it, and you can't get the straw through.
yeah.
Like, heartbreaking. Absolutely
tackling the top
heartbreaking.
issue.
Well, the spout thing, if you stuff it up, it's no good because it's just going everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, there we go. There's some introduction for you. Let's do this. Let's let's talk about some of your favorite movies. We're going to kick off with some action movies. You've already said Terminator
Yeah.
2. So what are other go-to action movies when you're in your downtime?
So this is probably I've come around to realize it's my favorite movie overall. Point Break.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Point Break guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Last Boy Scout. That's another favorite.
Oh, Last Boy Scout, what a banger.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan of American football as well, so that ties in.
And it is a
Yeah.
Christmassy movie, isn't it? It's set at Christmas.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't.
Yeah.
I should
It's
know.
hard to tell. It's in Florida, so they're all
It's
sweaty
Shane
and
Black,
hot.
so there's a good chance it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually saying that. That's quite interesting because he was record pay for a script or something like that. Yeah. But I find that interesting because you don't often hear discussion about like a star script writer. You know.
Yeah.
And in my mind, the 90s were like studio execs like, get me Pitt, get me Cruz. You know, it sounds funny to be like, get me Shane Black. You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
But he was the hot script
And
writer.
who was
Like-
that hot script writer that wrote Elf, and then he blew it all away on drugs, and they made that movie with Ben Stiller about him, Permanent Midnight.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Joe Esterhaus, but he
Oh,
did.
him too.
He was a big one.
Well,
with
the
Basic
only
Instinct
other
and stuff. Showgirls.
The only other, I don't know if they were a writer, but the only other person I can remember in that sort of having hype was Shyamalan, M. Night.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh,
yeah. Shyamalan a ding dong is what we call it.
Yeah.
Because there was, like I said, you don't often hear discussion, but that was, people were like, and there was mystery around him, like, who is this M.
Yep.
Night? And also, it was like
And that's how you
Sixth
describe.
Sense, wasn't it? Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the big one.
yeah.
But that's how you describe movies. You'd be like, it's Play School, but as like directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and everyone would know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like whatever that movie happened to be.
And it's such an important thing, the script, you know. Obviously, if they
it's
got
not on the
nothing good to
page.
say.
Well, back
but
then, M. Night Shyamalan was also writing Stuart Little. People
Yeah.
don't know he did treatments for the fourth Indiana Jones. Like his name was on everything.
It's like what's his name? The not 8mm. I'm thinking of who's the guy that produces all the Star Trek movies now?
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams
Yeah.
was writing regarding Henry and
Yes.
stuff.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Ah, fantastic. All right, well, before we kick on, we're going to play a song. This is a very Gocsy kind of song. I chose this one just for you, mate.
oh, thank you.
Golden Gay Time by the Bedroom Philosopher. And it's not just Golden Gay Time. There's pies in there too.
Oh, I love a meat pie golden gay time combo.
I'm not one to make a statement, I'm anything but blatant. Of life I am but a quiet member. But I'll never forget that day when out in the open it all came. Had to be that one day in September. We'd lost our footy final, so on the school bus we all piled. Broken, battered, bloodied and bemused. The only consolation from the complete ego deflation would be a hot pie from the shop we couldn't lose. Timo got a 4 and 20, and Tomo he bought plenty, and Simo even got a sausage roll. But despite the rejection I risked with my selection, I couldn't help but feel like something cold. I bought gay time, golden gay time. 'Cause this time it felt like the right time. Gay time, golden gay time. They give me such a hard time for what I'd done. I just felt like ice cream wrapped in biscuit crumbs. The shopkeeper looked shifty as I handed him $1.50, and all around me time seemed to freeze. It was like a western movie with the villain and his groupies, death stare in my iced confectionery. What do you think you're doing? It was Tomo, he was spewing, dirt flying off his footy spurs.
What's this game you're playing? Is there something you're not saying? You can't have that for lunch, it's absurd.
I bought a gay time, a golden gay time. This time it felt like the right time. Gay time, golden gay time. Give me such a hard time for what I'd done. I just felt like ice cream wrapped in biscuit crumbs. We all got back on the bus and everyone was in a real huff. My best mate Wade wouldn't sit next to me. Tomo was the leader, he kept calling me
Ice cream eater.
I chose to take that literally. There was only so much I could take. Tomo's voice was giving me an ice cream headache. I didn't know whether to scream or spew. So like the only way to stop it was to point out that stain in Tomo's pocket.
What?
He'd bought gay time, golden gay time. night time, gay time, golden gay time. They give me such a hard time for what I'd done. I just felt like ice cream wrapped in biscuit crumbs. No longer will I settle for a billabong. I'm so proud to sing my gay time eating song.
All right, so before we get on to the next question about movies, I want to know what's your favourite cinema food?
Oh, how'd you go past a choc top?
Yeah, but which one? Not the mint one, obviously.
Choc top. I know popcorn's an obvious answer, but my problem with popcorn is like, get to the trailer is almost finished. I'm
You
almost,
finish your popcorn.
Yeah.
So, but my problem with the choc top is I have almost no facial awareness. So when I finish eating the choc top and I come out, I've just got this like shit eating kind of like look
Yeah.
because all the chocolate's just rubbed off on my face.
Yeah, see, my philosophy on popcorn, though, is like, you know this. I only eat it until it gets stuck somewhere in my mouth or teeth and I stop. I can't do
Yeah.
it anymore. Chloe mixes her Maltesers with popcorn when she goes to cinema.
I just cut a hole in the bottom and then offer it to everyone. Is that wrong?
No, not when I'm with you.
In the 90s, that was okay. It's just not okay now.
Alrighty, so
You had to get, look, in all honesty, you had to get right down to the bottom of the popcorn for it to make any difference.
Yeah. So see, now they're like don't waste that paper. You got to recycle.
You
it.
recycle it, yeah.
all right, well, let's switch genres and talk thrillers. Are you a thriller person? Are you into those?
Yeah, love my thriller.
So what's an all-time favorite?
So well, it is an interesting subgenre, isn't it? And like what it's probably the hardest to construe what it is, right? But you have to be thrilled, I guess.
Yeah.
But so like I said, I'm now saying Point Break is my favorite movie. For a long time, I was saying Fargo.
Yeah, oh, mate, that's
Does that? I don't know. Does that come under thriller?
absolutely, and that's in my top 5 for sure.
Because that's also like Coen brothers are my favorite filmmakers, and they do that where you can't pigeonhole their movies, and it's like, well, it's not a comedy per se, but there's funny parts.
In fact, they would be what other writers describe their movies to be. It's kind of Coen Brothers.
It's Coen Brothers-esque.
Yeah.
well, the reason I say thriller because like who done it, but it's pretty clear. Like
Yeah.
that's what's interesting about it. It's like spoiler alert if you haven't seen Fargo, by the way, but it's like
been long enough.
it's interesting in that it's a who done it, but you know it's William Macy, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's not about
It's
who
a
did
how
it.
done it.
Yeah,
How?
that's right. It's not about who done it. It's will they get caught.
Yeah, that's right.
You're
yeah.
darn tootin'. It's such a magical film, that one.
And well, that's obviously when I say it's one of my favorites, I'm going to be biased, but I'm going to say anything is good about it. But I do believe like there's so many great parts to it, but the casting, right? Like perfect. There's like Macy as the bumbling buffoon, perfect.
Yep.
McDormand did a great job of that.
Yep. My
Her,
favorite.
her husband was great in that role.
Oh, and then Steve Buscemi and
yeah.
And
two crooks.
Peter, I always call him Peter Stamare, but it's just Stomare.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's brilliant as just
He's
that.
great.
And
Still can play that game.
and one of those like he doesn't even say that much.
Yeah.
Or he
Yeah.
doesn't. It's almost that like sounds like a cop out, but it's like less is
Yeah,
more.
because Steve
Yeah.
Buscemi's
He's
the
just
chatterbox. Yeah.
He's just like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Like,
I think all he said, isn't it? Then we go Pancake's house.
yeah.
Like, that's about it. That's his
Then
only
he bangs
line.
some chicks in a motel
Yeah,
room.
together.
That's
But the thing that I loved most, that I only discovered recently, is the guy that plays William H. Macy's father-in-law. That's Harv Presnell.
Yep.
He is the guy that sung They Call the Wind Mariah in Paint Your Wagon. Like, he used to be a Broadway guy. And then he's like, I just know him as the dad.
there's so many parts to their movies. It was like, where do they get all these? Like the casting is just brilliant.
My
Yeah.
favorite character in the whole thing is when the old friend from high school rocks up,
the-
Mike.
the Chinese
Yeah.
I'm so lonely. It's such a
So-
great scene, though.
And she's clearly like, 8 months pregnant.
The thing is, that scene's irrelevant to the story, but
Yeah.
yet without that scene, like her character is entirely different.
Yeah.
But no, how about you sit back over there?
Yeah.
I love
But
it.
then her and her husband watching
Norm.
like night crawlers,
Norm.
the worms.
Yeah,
that
his
he's-
stamp only got like
Yeah.
the one center.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about? I mean, are you into the '90s thrillers like your Fatal Attractions, Basic Instincts, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I like that. Those yeah.
The erotic thrillers.
Oh, that's all. We've had an erotic thriller episode recently.
We did.
That's Ben's jam.
But I always find with thrillers, it's a real fine line with a lot of horror.
Yeah.
Like, is it a thriller? Is it like Copycat? Is it a thriller or is it a horror movie?
Yeah.
It depends on how hard they push the tropes, I guess.
How much does Robert Downey Jr. lick the knife? If he licks the knife, it's a horror film. If he doesn't lick the knife,
it's
Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that I was talking about for like what's the criteria? So it's like, action. You could say, well, it's got to have action going on, but yeah, thrillers like, for example, something like Falling Down. What would you put that into?
Ooh, good question. Where would you put that? When we had video stores, where
would
that?
you put it? Yeah,
I think I had it in thriller. To be honest with you,
we would have probably put it in cult. And the cult section was the
miscellaneous,
where you couldn't figure out where else to put it.
And speaking about 90s, and as you mentioned, I do some stand-up comedy. So I was talking with someone recently about this with looking back at like old stand-up comedy. Obviously, you got to put it into context of the time.
Yep.
And there were these people like Bill Hicks who were like, it doesn't quite hold up that great, but he would have been quite mind-blowing. And so I'm linking this back to movies, don't worry. So something like Falling Down, and also recently I saw Con Air in the cinemas.
My God, yeah.
So my link to all of that is Bill Hicks was doing a lot of this like, like maybe we're the weirdos going 9 to 5 to the office. You know that?
Yeah.
And watching those, I found that so... again, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Con Air, check it. But in
Fuck
Con
you
Air...
if you haven't seen Con Air.
Yeah. Well, in Con Air, they build up like Buscemi's this like... he's not the like... Most of them are like... Big.
He's not Cyrus the Virus. What was he?
He's like the Hannibal Lecter sort of...
Yeah, he's the one in the face mask.
With the little girl? With the doll?
Yeah. But that's why... Because there's all these crims who are like muscle bound. They're like, they'll bash you.
Yeah.
He's the like Lecter, like, he'll pull you, like rip off you. But anyway, so the girl, that scene with the girl, where she's like, "Are you a weirdo, mister?" And it's very 90s. This is what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
It's very 90s I forget the exact wording, but basically the vibe is like, am I weird? Maybe going to work 9 to 5 on the like,
Yeah.
because that
That's
was the
weird.
same that Falling Down dealt
Yes,
with, wasn't it?
yeah.
Where it's like, and in hindsight, he overreacted a bit.
Although every time I go into a Macca's and I look at the burger, what's on the picture and what's in my hand?
The funniest bit for me about Falling Down was like when he goes to the gang area and he's like, it's trying to pose these questions, but it's like, like some of them are like, what's wrong with society? Why are we in fast? And then he's like, why are gangs not friendly or something? Yeah, like, that's how gangs work, buddy. Like,
It touched on a lot of new social issues at the time. It's an amazing.
Well, that's what I meant by at the time, but some things don't hold up. Yeah, it's a very vague link, but yeah, so like...
But that's what I love. I love films that don't hold up now because that makes them timestamps. Like, it's a moment in time that they've captured and you can go back and it's almost like a history lesson, the way we used to be.
Yeah, well, that's what I was doing, trying to link all those, where it's that Bill Hicks type of like... maybe we should look at ourselves and question, like...
Why have we not seen a Bill Hicks biopic?
Yeah.
Who would play Bill Hicks?
Edward Norton?
No.
Well,
I'm saying he probably would.
he would.
Probably would.
I'm not saying he's the best choice.
Because it's got it touches on a bit of that Joker type.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's a new podcast we need to do. Is just
It's interesting. What I was just talking about, because Joker's almost coming back to that, like, because a lot of people were saying
King of
it's
comedy
like he's
at the time.
clearly crazy, right?
Yeah.
But there was always those people going like, maybe he was.
Yeah, crazy's just one step away from Sam.
Yeah,
sane.
that thing. Yeah, because they also were. It was a bit like Falling Down, where they tried to show like it was deserved. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about how far a man's pushed in society, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's not any one thing. It was a string of things that
Yeah.
kind of sent him over the edge.
Yeah.
But
Until
again,
he's-
the same as Falling Down. It's like, no, you cannot shoot a TV host because he laughs at you. Or
That's right.
Yeah.
But he just snapped, didn't he? He snapped.
Again, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Joker.
His bra didn't fit and he wasn't going to take it anymore.
I mean, I forgot until now that Robert Duvall's in that. He's the cop.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot that.
Yeah.
Overshadowed.
I only remember the scenes of because of thanks to clips on YouTube when you can watch a full movie in 10 clips, but all the clips are just Michael Douglas
Yeah.
going nuts.
And Frederick Forrest, he's the ammo guy in the
right.
the ammo supply store.
It's an all-star cast.
I know. We need to revisit that one. Let's have a movie night, Ben. Any other thrillers that
I'm
stand out?
glad I'm of some use. I'm probably going to speak a lot of rubbish, but
No,
But
dude,
you guys-
you've made more sense on this show than we have in the last 2 or 3 years.
it's like if I could take something out of today, I got used to look into falling down.
Falling down again.
Well, we definitely will be doing that.
And the interesting link to that is The Simpsons. Frank Grimes is meant to be heavily inspired. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Dang.
Got the flat top. And
Yep. Far out. There's another podcast. Let's link Simpsons to movies.
To
There's
movies.
Plenty,
Yeah.
plenty
That's
of-
all.
Simpsons did it. No.
That's right. Okay, well then the logical jump from thrillers would be horrors.
Yeah.
Do you get into this genre much?
Yeah, well, my absolute favorite, and again from the VHS era, Shocker.
Oh,
wow, with Mitch
yes.
Pileggi.
Yeah.
My God, that's a favorite amongst us.
I mean, that was always the thing. I remember when X-Files kind of started and he appears on it and you're like, Shocker's
Yeah.
like a deputy director of the FBI? Like, he's a serial killer.
I know.
And I was talking with you guys, I don't know if it's all right to talk about things we're talking about off air.
Yeah, go for
But
it.
I was telling you about a recurring sort of nightmare for me is because one of the worst things is like mistrust of family, right? And the whole like Terminator 2, you know, where he's morphs into the family and
Yeah.
So like Shocker kind of follows those same
Yep.
of someone looking like a thing and then being
Something
Yeah.
else.
yeah.
So Wes Craven made Shocker apparently to kick off a new franchise. He wanted the guy from Shocker to be the new Freddy Krueger. Yeah, just
Didn't work.
Mitch Pileggi.
Yeah.
Could have worked.
could have worked, didn't. But
Didn't.
that's a great movie though. That terrified me as a kid.
Yeah.
That and People Under the Stairs were the two I connected with
And
Wes
I-
Craven back then.
People under the stairs, yeah.
You know, it's like when you're a kid, like some imagery really stands out, and I know, like, as a kid, sort of seeing like rock and metal band logos and shirt. I remember it must have been that thing. I think Metallica have something with lightning and and the whole like electric chair too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something about electric chairs. I guess we don't have it in Australia. It's a very like American.
Well, Daft Punk had a liquid metal album logo. Like, is it maybe the
Yeah.
liquid metal that's that
Yeah, so
triggers you?
in my mind, like sort of that imagery, like lightning, because that was the poster. If you know, Shocker is the
Yeah.
the electric.
Him in the
Yeah.
jumpsuit, in the orange jumpsuit with
Yeah.
in the electric chair.
There was like I know it's a movie show. We shouldn't be going over into music too much, but on my street, like as a kid, there's down the street a couple of houses where the gutter is. What do you call that? Just the not
Curb,
gutter.
the
Yeah,
curb,
like
yeah.
Anyways, the kid who'd lived there. This is like early '90s. Had written all these rock bands into the concrete logos. So there was
Mate,
like
awesome.
Metallica, AC/DC, all the biggest bands in the world. And as a kid, you're not really exposed to that when you're like 7 or 8. Like, that was my first.
So later in life, you'd discover these
Yeah.
bands and you'd flash back to the logos.
So all that
Yeah.
imagery to me of like sort of Shocker and Metallica.
Yeah. See, I
it's
used to
quite-
just draw dick and balls in the concrete. That's the
You had
extent.
that Jonah Hill disease from Superbad.
Well, see, Dick and Balls stand the test of time. Like, it's not quite a timestamp, you know.
Yeah, it's everyone. Doesn't matter what generation you're from. You recognise that
Yeah,
Dick
the
and
caveman
balls.
was drawing
Yeah.
dick and balls on the cave. All right, what are some other horrors? What was the first horror you remember seeing as a kid?
That's a tough one.
Ghoulies and Freddy
Probably
Krueger for me.
Shocker. Yeah, I remember Ghoulies as well. Does Gremlins count?
Bloody oath it does.
Gremlins,
Yeah.
Yeah, Gremlins. Fuck, that was terrifying as
Yeah.
a kid.
It's
Loved it,
it's,
but
al-
terrifying.
it's almost like you've got your different like a horror's either going to be this or and then there's the classic, as everyone knows, is like the good-looking teenagers at like a summer camp or a high school. They're going to get killed. So it's either, but that's usually like a Freddy Krueger type or
Yep.
Yep.
Jason from Hell. That's
Absolutely.
one type, and then you've got sort of what would you call Gremlins? Like sort of
Creature feature
Creatures,
versus
yeah.
slashers for the other
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
It's just this. I think horror's the one genre with so many subgenres, more than any other.
More than any other.
Yeah,
Because
we-
the slashers, the creature features, the body horrors,
Yeah.
the kind of the thrillery type ones, the alien, even the
I guess, yeah, and like Freddy Krueger, that was pretty scary. Like as a kid, yeah.
I remember the ad for Nightmare on Elm Street with the centipede coming
Yeah,
out of
and
the...
yet that wasn't in the movie.
Not in the movie,
No.
but just the centipede coming out of her mouth terrified me. Just seeing the ads for because they would do those kind of marathons,
Mm-hmm.
starting
at 10 o'clock. Nightmare on Elm Street on Channel 9.
Well, because I remember at the video shop, obviously you get what you want to get, but you'd also like shuffle around looking
Yeah.
at different cases, and like obviously I was probably too young to get horror. I can't remember hiring many horror, so it was a lot of just seeing the cases of them, and like that's what I was saying again with imagery. It's quite vivid in my mind. I remember some there was like a basket case. You remember that?
Oh,
basket?
Yeah, basket
yes.
case.
Children of the Corn, all these that I didn't actually see, but just the covers.
You're speaking our language.
Yeah. Well, see, for me, because I was a little pervert, the horror...
Emphasis on was. Sorry, I'm coming on this show roasting you guys.
It's funny because it's true.
It's usually self-deprecating over
Yeah.
there.
But at Movieland in Oakley, they had clear plastic shelves
Yeah.
for the tapes. And the horror section was in one little kind of alcove, and the alcove next to it was the porn section that I was never allowed in. But if you took the front covers, if you took the covers of the horrors off the shelf, you
Yes.
could see right through to the backs of the pornos on the other shelf. So my whole
You cracked the code, mate.
knowledge of horror just comes from behind Nightmare on Elm Street is Jack Does Jill.
That's a classic.
I'd remember him, and somebody put him back. I'm like, hang on, Debbie Does Dallas wasn't behind Worms. This is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Someone's been moving the pornos around.
And I just wonder, obviously it's like you got to be 18 plus or whatever. And then how did it work for if there was a kid, like a teenager working in the shop? Like, are they able to deal
Yeah.
with the cases, sort of thing?
I had a friend who worked at a video store when he was 16, and he was allowed to,
Yeah.
not allowed to watch half the movies he was renting out to
yeah,
people.
yeah.
But it's like serving cigarettes to people, though. Like, you have to be of a certain age.
Certain age to do it,
they
yeah.
didn't care about movies back then. Who was peddling them?
I mean, and that was always the thing too. Like I remember, you have parents come up and they'd hold up a movie like be R18 and go, "Is this good enough? Is this okay for my 10-year-old?" And you're like, "Well, it's R18." Like, yeah, but does it have sex in it? You know, no, but it's pretty scary. Oh, as long as it doesn't have sex, it's fine. That's all they cared about.
Little did they know, what horror's going to do more damage than
than the porno.
I've shared this story to Ben on the show before, but I worked in a couple of video stores, and one of them we had a serial photographer in the store that would take Polaroids of his dick and put it in random VHS covers, and usually they were in family films, so we'd be scanning out like Disney movies, and you'd open a cover and there's a dick pic. And the thing is, he took these photos in the store because we could recognise the backgrounds.
That's like a... It's like a full-on bad crime. It's like, it's one thing to he's a bit mischievous. He's like a really bad per. But can I tell you again, like a lot of these like very vivid memories in my mind. Sometimes it's like, I have terrible short-term memory. but so my memory of the local video shop, the first local video shop near us was... this is a very you don't want to be one of those people they used to take the time to make things better and they don't make things like they used to. But this is definitely a thing that in modern times no one would do, right? So what it was, the new release video, they would paint it on the front window. Do you remember that?
I do.
Because I'm not sure if that was a common thing or
It was the company sending people to do it.
Would send out to do it, yeah.
Yeah,
You
like
would
Paramount
get
Pictures would send out someone to do it.
That's why I'm like, now you'd put up a poster. Or what,
Yeah.
It just seems like, and
they'd
some
come
of
in
them
when it was
didn't
also-
look look
They
exactly
weren't that
like
great.
Yeah, but physically painting it on is crazy.
Yeah.
And they'd come up with a scraper after that month.
Yep.
they'd scrape it off and put the new one on.
Yep.
Doesn't that just seem crazy? It does. Think about,
Like the amount of effort.
But I
then,
mean, yeah, milk bars were the same. Like they were all painted on signs on the front window.
that's how
Cornetto
and that's how you know that times are bad for milk bars now, because all that stuff is old.
yeah, that's
Like it's all old and chippy. Like no one's come in a long time to replace that Violet Crumble ad.
Oh, jeez. Who misses a
Or
milk bar? I do.
The blue Chico Roll poster.
Yeah. Do you know there was a Chico Roll store at Southern Cross Station up until recently?
what, like just specialised?
Yeah, it was like a takeaway kiosk, only Chico Rolls.
Only Chico Rolls.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
No
wild.
corn jacks.
Maybe I never actually ate there, but I was like the smell of it when I walked past. Like it's just
Because you can get them in the frozen
Yeah.
section, like
Section.
a 4-pack.
100%.
And they come with the paper holders. It's cool,
yeah.
I mean, I just reckon that they should make a store that just sells all that old advertising, like with the Chico Roll kind of calendars and stuff, and the Big M girls and the. Do you remember you could get the Big M puzzle that came in the Big M box and stuff like?
You're making me see. Being a Queensland boy, we didn't get Big M up there because milks are more exclusive to your areas. But
Right.
but the Brisbane milk was I said it still exists. It's called Breaker.
Right.
But we had Breaker promo girls
Yeah.
that would appear at
Yeah.
shops and stuff. And that's another thing thinking back of like, I don't want to be like, oh, PC gone mad, but they wouldn't send out girls in
No.
swimsuits now to hand out milks.
No, the Chico Roll chick was always on a motorbike.
Yeah, in a bikini.
I mean,
Which is, if you
the
have
Chico
a-
Roll's phallic.
PC
So,
gone mad, I tell you.
If you had an accident on a motorcycle wearing a bikini, you would never be able to wear a bikini again. It would have it'd tear all your skin off. Completely unpractical.
the Chico Roll would survive though.
The Chico Roll would be fine.
100%.
The ambulance guy's just like,
It's quite a funny sort of, making Chico rolls sexy. Like,
Well, it's a phallic looking food.
like it used to be, because every mechanic, if you went to a mechanic,
Yeah.
there'd be like a nudie girl kind of calendar in the mechanics
Yeah.
and stuff. Made sense.
Yeah.
99% of the people in working at a garage would be men.
Yeah.
At the fast food, at the fish and chip shop, it's families going in there. Yet
Yeah.
still,
But I think though the Chico Roll was usually served at that shop around the corner from the mechanics.
From the mechanic, yeah.
It's sort of spread.
they come in at lunchtime for their. That was always the joke. A friend of mine, Larry, went to Sandringham High School, and round the corner was a fish and chip shop, and they'd go down there for lunch sometimes. And every now and then they'd see like a cop car speed past with the lights flashing, and they'd get around the corner to the fish and chip shop, and that's the cop car would just be parked there. And they're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They're in a rush to get to the fish and chip shop.
Ah,
so
shit.
good.
So, like, if you were to go home tonight, just to kick back, watch a movie, what would it be?
Oh, again, you're putting the pressure. Well, I do love my comedies. So
Well, there's a segue because that's the next,
yeah.
next
So,
genre.
I'll leave it comedies there. Well, I guess. So basically, the question is like, what's a movie you've seen a lot, or
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes to comedies, like, we could just talk all day about, random.
Yeah.
We're big on Adam Sandler comedies, Ben and I. Like, we particularly champion Hubie Halloween a lot.
yeah,
Greatest Halloween movie ever made.
That's right. So that's our bag. And
Yeah.
my number one film of 2023 was the new Adam Sandler one, the Bar Mitzvah film.
You're not invited to my.
You're
Well,
so-
here's.
mitzvah?
Do you want my Adam Sandler take? Is Bulletproof
Give me
underappreciated.
man.
Yeah.
Like what? Isn't it like I was gonna say why do some things go through to the key, but I guess quality is one thing, but
Yeah.
there's also like marketing. But like it didn't get pushed a lot because I think especially in Australia, I don't know if in America it gets much interest, but I remember the early days of Sandler. I was still in primary school, and this is a bit embarrassing, but I'll say it. I was a kid, but I used to get TV Hits magazine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were talking about this because, with internet, everything's super quick now.
Yeah.
People used to talk about, like, this thing is on its way from America,
Yeah.
right? So TV Hits were talking about this Adam Sandler, who we didn't know about.
Yeah.
And they were like, I forgot the exact word, but they compared him to Jim Carrey. They were saying, like, skim milk Jim
I
Carrey.
know this firsthand because I lived in Canada for a while, and I was there when they made Happy Gilmore in Vancouver, and I was on the set watching
Oh,
this
awesome.
guy. I didn't know who he was, but I watched them film the driving range scenes when he's doing the run up and hit.
Yeah.
And then I watched it in Canada, came back to Australia and told all my friends, there's this movie called Happy Gilmore, you've all got to see it. No one here had heard of it. We got it, a year later?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he hit and it was just like he exploded.
But that's because you remember, like he's just like the third fiddle, the dumb guy from Airheads.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
You're like, who the hell's Adam Sandler? Like, we
Yeah.
didn't get SNL. It's not
Yeah.
like SNL even played on TV or anything.
Yep, we just got like compilation videos.
Yeah, that's right. Like the best of Steve Martin and the
Yeah.
And like looking in hindsight, he was doing songs and things on SNL, so super talented guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time it was very like,
Yeah, but you know what? I think Bulletproof probably came along when the buddy cop movie was heading towards video, like direct to video. So
yeah,
it didn't take off. But
And it's with a Wayne's brother too.
Oh.
And you're like, who was the star? The
you'll
Wayne's
always
brother
be
was
my
kinda-
bodyguard.
yeah.
It was the guy from Major Payne was the star.
I don't know how Damon Wayans is viewed now, but he was quite big in the 90s.
Massive.
Major Pain, Last Boy
Business
Scout.
is good.
Yeah. So,
in there, he ain't very happy. That was the best. There's a monster in the closet. If he's still in there, he ain't very happy.
he played a few times kind of like a sports hero, like Last Boy Scout.
Yep.
Yeah.
Funny how he went into those characters when he came from Beverly Hills Cop, doing the puncy little sort of concierge guy.
But
The
he was
fruit
also
guy, the fruit guy.
He also had in Living Color. He was big in Living Color. Him and
course.
Jim Carrey were the kind of big breakouts from
Yeah.
from that comedy show.
Yeah, so I think Bulletproof just went through the keeper. You don't hear much about it.
Yeah.
Although they did a number 2, 15 years later.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't know about that.
yeah, there's a number 2.
But it's not Sandler, is it?
No, it's 2 new guys, but it's direct to video. It's that Rene Rural director, the guy that did
The Verger.
he does all the direct to video sequels.
You're right.
Whatever. Awesome. Who are some of your comedy heroes, like your Sandlers, your Chris Farleys?
Well, Farley is a huge one, physically and but yeah, like obviously very sad what happened with him. Bit of a recurring theme, unfortunately. I started to realize, and I don't know if you've read much about it, but like some of the people say Farley was a little bit too obsessed with like Belushi.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
And that was like
100%.
like sort of had no fear about the early death. And anyway, that's probably deep territory to be getting into. But Chris Farley, huge one. I love Jim Carrey. Well, when you talk about influence, you mean like on my own stuff, or
Either or.
because I love Jim Carrey, but I wouldn't say I want to be known as like rubber face features or anything. And he's quite unique in that too, in that like it's like he was great at that, but you wouldn't say you would like go looking for anyone else who does like facial contortions or
No.
It's just like it was almost like some people there's an opening just for them.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, because it's like I can imagine anyone else would be super annoying with their life. And people actually, he got parodied a fair bit at the time.
Yeah.
In other comedies and stuff.
Well, I found it funny, like when comedy parodies comedy,
Yeah.
which they
like Seinfeld's one of the most
Yeah.
like richest and popular ever, and people love to do like, what is the deal? Like,
Yeah, they do all that. Yeah.
there's actually
What's the deal with airline food?
Yeah, well, that's in the comedy world. That's the big like go-to for like observational humor. Is like airline food. I always say I want to like find the very first time a lot of these cliche ones were done, because there's actually another one is there's a Hey Hey It's Saturday with Vince Serendi, and he says they should make the whole plane out of the black box recorder, because apparently that's another like the flight thing where it's been done a lot. Like
Yeah.
I still love Vince.
I saw Vince. I worked as a waiter for a while for an agency, and we did a corporate gig at Crown Casino, and Vince Sorrenti was the comedian, and Paul Anka was the musical act for this. It was like a sewerage company or something, but and we had. It was a buffet, so it was help yourself. So we had all we had to do was make sure the drinks were topped up. So we had no work to do. I just got to watch Vince Sorrenti for do his 20.
Well,
minutes.
that's sort of I shouldn't say.
He's just
That's some work in itself. No.
he's just finished
Sorry,
the tour.
Vince.
He's just finished the tour.
Yeah.
Like he came back,
But very much before I was talking about time and a place and context.
Yeah.
And I guess like that sort of stuff was mind blowing in the 80s and 90s. And then,
Elliot Goblet was always my my hero. And he was very underappreciated, I thought.
I just remember being so totally shocked when I found out that the goatee was drawn on.
It's
like, you mean it's not real?
Wasn't it first?
Yeah, but it was just it was because you had CRT TVs. They weren't that clear. You couldn't tell.
Well, like, I probably, I probably shouldn't say this because some people would say I'm very one note or whatever. Hey, back off! I got two notes, but acts like that are very like. Once you get past, they're like, oh, okay, it's monotone.
It's kind of like they need a second phase in their career, like otherwise it's just
That's why Steady Eddie couldn't. He had that one bit.
He's still going, I think.
He's still going.
Is he touring up north?
I think
love
up
him.
around Queensland he's on and off. But
Awesome, used to love him.
But talking of influence, Eric Banner was and he's actually like very. To see him go from early days, full frontal and all that, to like what he's done is like good on him.
Did he do stand up? Was he a stand up guy or just a sketch guy?
I actually don't know a lot about him, and I'm intrigued, and not intrigued enough to research, but but I do no, because like me myself, I'm loving the acting stuff I'm doing, and I am interested in like. Was he formally trained? And because myself, I'm not, I can follow that footstep. I'd love to be like a Hulk or but you look at like something like Chopper is just mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like talk about inspired casting. No one could have possibly predicted that.
It's interesting because obviously he went to Hollywood, right? But then I wonder, did they all over there? Did they see Chopper and go?
He got cast in Black Hawk Down because of Chopper, I believe.
Yeah, right.
Ridley Scott.
It could be one of those cases of you just need to impress the one person.
The same with...
So it's like a lot of America probably didn't see Chopper.
It's fluke because Russell Crowe broke America because Sharon Stone saw him in Romper Stomper.
Wow.
And cast him in Quick and the Dead. So, it's just about
just go to the one person,
just wait for one person to see Emu War, the right person.
Well, that's like... Because I do, like... I was thinking, what is that... Like, Chopper wouldn't mean what it does to Americans that he does to us, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder if whenever people do a listing of, like, say, great body transformations, it probably doesn't get thought of, but it would be right up there with, like, Christian Bale's done some insane ones.
But that's, when you think about Mel Gibson, like Mad Max came out here and it was just
shocking at the time, too.
Yeah, Mad Max was nothing in America, but then he did Road Warrior. Huge over there, and then that's how they never heard his actual voice.
No, that's right, because they
dubbed it in America.
I guess a lot of these things, and like I said, it's probably out there if I research. I was going to say someone should. I want things just brought to me, like but someone. Like I said, it's probably out there, but I would like to know more about that with Eric Banner and that too, like the process of like. It must have been quite shocking at the time. Because it's a fair while ago now, but like even...
His shoot to fame was very quick. He was slingshot into Hollywood, really. And like I remember seeing those behind-the-scenes videos of him and Chopper Reed in Tasmania, like getting into character. And there's no way you could foresee that he would be the next Hulk or next big,
But also you think of people who kind of steal the scene, and Full Frontal had a great cast, but even amongst all of them, like Michaela stood out too, but Banner was always like stood out with his like Raymond and Poiter.
John Chin.
Yeah. So I guess for me, like Farley was a huge one, Jim Carrey, Eric Banner.
Awesome. Well, you touched on something there I'd actually like to ask you about, sketch comedy. What do you think's the ultimate sketch comedy program? Going all the way back to your Pythons up until the more recent stuff. What to you is like the go-to?
I was a huge Full Frontal fan. Actually got onto it quite young too, because being a 90s kid, I think it was like 95, around the mid-90s.
See, I think we were Fast Forward kids, right?
Because it was Fast Forward. Yeah. I was always Comedy Company.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like the rival.
Yeah.
They had Comedy Company was Channel 10, Fast Forward was Channel
Well, that's the
7.
thing. You're going to be swayed towards what you grew up with, I think.
Yeah.
So when Full Frontal was big, I was like 11, 12, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is quite young to get into it, actually. I remember... not the things weren't like fully going over my head, but like you know, like they were doing like John Howard impressions, and I'm like, when you're 11, you're not thinking about politics.
That's the boring stuff. Like,
I was just like, he does have big bushy eyebrows. Like, well, that's political satire for you. Like, oh, take something they've got and magnify it.
Absolutely.
But for me, Full Frontal, and then after that, a few years later, was like there was another glut of them. So there was like Skid House.
Yes.
Got
Ronnie-
to work
Ronnie
with
Johns,
Damien Callanan, which is great, and then Channel 9 had Comedy Inc. and
That's right.
Russell Crowe had his own. Oh, not Russell Crowe. Russell Gilbert.
Yeah.
Slightly different level of.
Yeah.
Got my Russells mixed up. Slightly different level of fame.
I miss Russell so much. I Google him all the time. Just is he coming back?
still
is he coming
doing it?
back? Yeah.
It's like Kim Gingell.
Russell
I thought he was
Gilbert.
dead, but he's not.
He's
There's a.
he's one of my all-time Aussie
Do you
favorites.
remember? Did you guys watch Full Frontal?
Yeah.
Do you remember? I think his name was Ross Williams, but I never see him in anything else. He was bald and
Yeah, I used
fat.
to see him where I live in Chadston. There used to be a shop called. It was like a military. It was where you'd go if you needed to get uniforms and stuff for movies. It was all military. They had a tank at the back.
Yeah.
Like a miniature kind
Almost
of
like a
tank.
prop store, sure.
It was a
Yeah.
prop store kind of thing, but it was specialized in military paraphernalia. And I saw Ross Williams in the tank at like doing it. I didn't realize it was a sketch for.
He
full-
was
for
actually
Fast
so.
Forward or Full Front.
He was great. Like he did these, and you know, with acting and whatever comedy, there's all different techniques and tropes. And he did this one I remember, where like this is a comedy trope where like you continue talking and you don't stop and breathe or whatever for like ages, and that was one of his things, you know. And then I think on the news thing they were like, let's cross to the financial guy, and he'd be like. And the FTSE 100, like he's just like, yeah. Like saying nonsense words. And he had heaps of great characters. I remember one with Mikhailov, where Mikhailov's character's like posh. He's like, tell us about what drink you have here. And he was a real rough from a bottle shop. He goes, mate, that's poof to piss or something. sorry to say the word, you know, I'm recreating. You know, like that is just like super rough. So he was great, but I forgot how we got to that point. Oh, yeah.
No, sketch
The thing about so talking about Russell Gilbert also makes me think of Hey It's Saturday, right?
Yep.
Now, what he makes me think of the most is he would always be standing in the audience,
Yeah.
He was
and have
the
like a
common man.
singer.
Yeah.
It either talk to someone this is my biggest, and there's a lot of things to take away from Hey, but my biggest takeaway is that. It was very ADD, right? There's so much going on. So like Daryl says something, then they cut to like
Blackman.
Red would say something, and then Blackman's upstairs,
Dickie
and
would
then
pop up.
and Blackman would put words on the screen, and then he'd do a drawing, and that'd pop up,
And you got to think about that, like
and
so.
Dickie would pop up, and they hit him, and
but
so
like-
there's all these like people, and then I'm thinking. And maybe whatever it is, it like cost cutting, whatever. Like you wouldn't have just people like Russell's paid to stand there in the audience and say a zinger, right? Just like what a beautiful era. Like
Absolutely, like that show. I think the positives far outweigh the negatives when it comes to that show. And the way, like you're saying, the way that was structured though, like how tight it must have been though, because you got Blackman up in the booth, and yet he's connected to Dickie Nee. Like they have to be in sync with each other.
Yeah.
Just an amazing thing.
That's what I meant about hyper and
Yeah.
ADD and like
Yeah, for sure. But I was a big late show fan. D-Gen.
Yeah, the
That was a
DJ,
big one.
But speaking of half the time they would have politicians, they'd be doing like Gareth Evans. You know, I don't know who the hell Gareth Evans is, but or Jeff Kennett. Like,
Oh, when they're doing the song at the end of the D-Gen? Yeah. Joan Kerner.
Joan Kerner. Like I knew who Joan Kerner was.
Yeah.
She
But
replaced John Cain.
I think I was a little bit too young for that. But then also like I don't know what it is, but with comedy, like sometimes you can. I don't know if other people get this, but like you feel like you're not smart enough for things. Or like, like a lot of British comedy just feels like, am I too dumb for this?
That's
But
why I
then-
like dumb comedy.
Yeah, but I was going to say, but then it's either that or it's a bloke in a dress. There's no in between with British comedy. It's almost like, you know, and then things like Frasier can feel like, I'm like, is this too smart for
Yeah,
me? Or...
like if it wasn't for the laugh track, you wouldn't know when it was
Yeah.
funny. But I remember watching there used to be cartoon shows like the Raddies,
Yeah.
and it was Spike Milligan doing the voice.
Great
and
show.
He'd run through all these things like Jimmy Tarbuck's this, and I'm like, who's Jimmy Tarbuck?
Yeah.
You didn't
Like
care
I
as a
didn't know
kid.
who any of those celebrities were that he was like referencing.
Yes. Oh, my
That was
goodness.
always the thing with the British comedy. I was like, I don't know who they're talking about when they're making these jokes.
What about Kids in the Hall? Did you ever watch that?
No, I didn't.
No, that was like the be all and end all.
And
for me.
so in my I forgot the exact ages, around like maybe 19, 20 or something, and then I got Foxtel. That was like sort of because now people find out everything internet. That was how I was like. I thought I'm finding out about things that other people weren't. You know, this is kind of like I'm paying my $50 a month, but I was like, so massive Conan O'Brien fan, loved watching the Conan O'Brien show, and then in hindsight, they didn't have that much. I think I can make fun of it now, but like the Comedy Channel, but there was little like repeating like Whose Line Is It Anyway, and but I'd watch like Trailer Park Boys. That was it called?
100%.
So like just finding little bits of like finding like I wouldn't say I had like super weird or strange interest, but like a few things that not everyone was into, but then obviously the stuff that everyone was consuming, like The Simpsons, and but then it was like I said, some things felt like it went over my head, and because there's in the comedy industry or scene or whatever you're gonna call it, there's almost this thing of like, you do comedy, you must have loved Seinfeld or whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't get into it because being a 90s kid, so I'm like, that was what adults are watching, right? And like, to me, that was like, these pretzels are making me thirsty. Like, now I get that whole, it's funny because nothing's going on. But at the time, I didn't get it as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Look, I'm a big fan of Aaron Sorkin TV shows, and he had one called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, which was all about them making a Saturday Night Live / Letterman type sketch comedy show. And throughout that show, they're always talking, you know who the best frat comedy guys were? Gilbert and Sullivan, and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, really? Like it's all 100% Aaron Sorkin's what Aaron Sorkin thinks is funny. And they'd write these jokes and be like, that's very funny. And I'm like, is it? I don't know if that doesn't sound funny to me. It's like a lot of, and you realize.
But he's not even known for humor, is he? Or
no, that's it. And there's a lot of the time, especially in those kind of shows, where you're like, it is like the MASH. Like there was always that thing about in Freaks and Geeks about MASH, and he goes, take away the laugh track, and it's not MASH is not a comedy.
That's right.
Like you wouldn't know when to laugh because there's no jokes.
Yeah, and that's there's almost like that modern resistance against the laugh track, right?
Oh yeah, now everyone's against
remember one of the early adopters of that was probably like Malcolm in the Middle, when they're like, there's this new show and the kid talks to the camera and there's no laughter, and it's like, and then now like it's obviously done.
Yeah, because then you got your Curb Your Enthusiasm. They all came along and they just did away with the laugh track.
I watched the wrap up of Have You Been Paying Attention on 10 Play the other day, because I think I actually had seen it when I was watching. I was like, but I was listening to it, and I remember in the early seasons of that, you would hear like 3 or 4 people laugh, and I'd be like, is this just in front of the crew, or is there actually an audience there? And sometimes the camera would go around. You said there actually is a small studio audience, but that end of year thing, 100% canned laughter, I reckon.
Yeah,
like every joke had a big laugh, and you're like, there's not that many people in that audience.
Oh my goodness! Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this special episode. Look, we can't thank you enough for being here, mate. Like, it's been super fun chatting.
What a way to go out with a bit of MASH.
MASH
slander, Take that, one of the biggest shows ever. Like,
screw you, Alan Alda.
There's something funny about taking down massive things like...
Well, before we wrap up, though, what's 2024 looking like for you?
Oh, mate, just continue on from the platform I've built. But yeah, like there's going to be a bigger release of Emu War, which is great, hopefully. Because I think there was about 7 or 8 total screenings in cinemas, which is great, but very small amount of people.
Can't endorse it enough.
Well, I appreciate you guys getting behind it. And so I'll be doing Melbourne Comedy Fest too. Keep an eye on that. Talking about Conan and that sort of thing. It's going to be a parody of those. I'm going to have a desk there, and
I'm coming.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm coming.
You guys should come on as a guest if you want.
No.
We're doing, I don't know if you ever watched those. Oh, of course you like Conan, Letterman.
Yeah.
But I want to do that like sometimes the first guest stays and hangs around,
Yeah,
and sometimes they don't.
100%.
Yeah, so when I say Parry, just going to copy everything. I come out, I do the stand-up monologue.
The whole thing. Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
We'll be there.
so that's at Melbourne Comedy Fest, and yeah, just hoping to tour around in general. If anyone's listening has a pub or a footy club or anything, happy to come along and perform. So yeah, get in touch. But
Brilliant.
yeah,
Your
thanks.
podcast, let's promote
Oh
that.
yeah, it's called Have a Yarn with Me. There's a picture of me in a big barn me. So
I love a good bun, me.
Yeah.
It's a great podcast that you have.
oh, thanks, mate. Yeah.
Conversations are fantastic. Love them. Love them.
I know the professionalism isn't great, but I think you said the other day you liked when I answered a phone call during.
So most podcasts would cut away while he takes the call, but you can hear him in the background.
Yeah. What? No, because I'm not good with tech, believe it or not. But if you've seen all my stuff, it's very lo-fi. But I have someone that helps me to upload it, which I'm stoked with.
Yeah.
But I can't be too demanding. But can you edit it as well? So I think he just puts it up as I give it to him.
But
and,
that was a great moment in that
Yeah.
episode, though.
yeah, and don't be too harsh on me. It's only calls from my daughters that I answer, and they're like, "Dad, can I have
Makes
some?"
sense.
Yeah.
I'll be there in half an hour to pick you up. Okay.
It's usually my daughter just asking if she can order KFC or something, yeah. Which is like she's following in her dad's footsteps.
It's always a yes.
yeah. No, thanks so much, guys, for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it a lot.
Being keen to get you on the show for a long time, and we're glad we can dedicate this special episode to you because
I'm glad you're keeping the love of movies going. You know, if we don't support this scene,
Oh, mate. Well, thank you. We're going to close with another very Gocsy kind of song. It's called Pub from the Cosmic Psychos. Nice day for a schnitzel.
yeah, which is every day. No. Thanks, guys.